What happens if you have both a yield and a return within the body of the same function? In that case, you have a generator function with a return statement in it, which is allowed in Python. It's kind of unusual, but you might as well know that it exists. Upon executing a return statement, a generator function exits, and therefore does not yield any more values. So if I write a generator function which has yields in it and a return, what this will do is yield x when asked for it, yield x plus 1 when asked for it, and then stop yielding anything else. That's how you should think of return within the body of a generator function, is that it just says there will be no more yielding after this. Even though there is a yield down here, it doesn't do anything because execution never reaches this line. So if I called f on 2 and then listed everything that it yielded, I would get 2 and 3, but not 5. Return statements typically have some return expression. What if you put a value to be returned? That's allowed, but the value is not yielded. So for example, if I wrote the same function, except now I've called it g instead of f, and I have returned x plus 2, what happens if I list g of 2? The same thing. I get 2, I get 3, then it returns, which means no more yield. It returned 4. Where's the 4? It's gone. It's not something that gets yielded. Why should it be the case that this returns anything at all if that value is just getting lost? Well, it turns out it is possible to access that returned value, though I've never seen this used in practice, and you do not need to know how to do it. But I'm sure somebody will ask, how do you do it? So I'll show you, and then we will never speak of this again. It is possible to yield from g of x, which would yield 2 and 3 if x were 2, and then capture the returned value using this very strange looking syntax y equals yield from g of x. And then if you really wanted to, you could yield that. Now I've written a generator function that yields everything from g of x and captures what was returned from g of x and yields that too. If I list all of those values, starting with x equals 2, then I get the 2, the 3. 4 is not returned, so it wouldn't come out of the yield from. Instead, it's assigned to y, and yielding y yields the number 4. So now you know how to do it, but you don't have to know how to do it. If you forget everything in the bottom of this page, that's totally fine, because it's used so rarely, and it's such an esoteric detail of Python that you can live your whole life without ever learning it, and you'll be fine.